Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming and tuning into a PB Tech session on Microsoft Hub and meeting rooms, Teams rooms. We're pleased to have you here today, and we're doing this virtually and remotely for two reasons. A, because we're all locked down, and secondly, because I didn't think I could handle all the heckling if we did it in person like our wonderful Prime Minister's had to put up with lately. So we're going to slowly get things underway now, and I'll start off with a few introductions. But before we do that, I'll just run through what you can expect out of today's session. We are going to be covering off the Microsoft Teams Rooms functionality and Microsoft Hub. And we're aware that a lot of the people tuning in today would have heard about that and seen that in YouTube clips and with Microsoft publicity over the last couple of years. So that's going to be a small and beginning part of the session. Then we'll be working through from a PB Tech's perspective of how we've made meeting rooms and boardrooms happen and work well in the past. And we, obviously there's different components of that, and we're going to work through the decision-making process that our customers have gone through. As a part of that, we really would encourage you to ask some questions and talk to us about your journey and where you're at with that, so that we can make sure that you've got all of the questions asked and answered out of today's session. At the end, we've got a bit of an offer for you to consider, and we've got some prize draws. So in terms of the prize draw, if you've joined the session anonymously, we will not be able to know who you are in terms of giving you the prize. So I would really encourage you to either jump on with your phone or some other device and at least put your name in there so that we know whether to give you the prize. In terms of the prizes, our publicity, we said that we were going to give away a Jabra Evolve 285 headset, but I just so happen to have with me a Poly Sync 20 that was given to me, so it's all yours. So two prize draws today, not just one. So without further ado, I will introduce the people that are on the call with me today. The first is Mr. Ben Brown. Ben, why don't you tell us about how amazing you are and the company that you work for is?
Awesome. Thank you, Rodney. Kia ora, everyone. My name is Ben Brown. I am the Surface Partner Development Manager for Microsoft New Zealand. So for the last 3 years, I have lived and breathed and died by the Surface brand. And I'm here today to talk to you about Surface Hub, as well as some of the broader Microsoft Teams Rooms experiences and shared spaces. I'll hand back to Rodney.
Next, we have the equally magnificent James Harwood. James, why don't you tell us why you're here and about what influence you've had over the market in New Zealand?
Thank you, Rodney, and kia ora, everyone. My name is James Harwood, Business Manager for all things Pro AV, linking into UC at Ingram Micro. We're actually the sole distributor for Surface Hub with Microsoft, and we partner aligned very closely with PB Tech as one of our top partners who drive the growth and the adoption of this amazing device. Rodney.
And lastly, we have Tyler Costa. Now, Tyler Costa works at PB Tech in Christchurch in a nationwide role. Tyler, why don't you tell us about your role in PB Tech?
Hey everyone, I help coordinate all of the services for most of New Zealand. That includes most of the project management and on-site services and asset deployments. And obviously part of that space comes Surface Hub.
Excellent, thanks guys. Well, so from here, we're going to cross over to a very fancy video from Microsoft, and then we'll leave it to Ben to talk about the Surface product and how it works in meeting rooms across New Zealand.
Today's Microsoft Teams Rooms bridge the gap between in-person and remote meeting attendees, providing everyone high-quality, inclusive experiences. Going forward, these rooms will deliver more natural and immersive experiences for hybrid work. The focus room will evolve to connect in-person and remote attendees in a more unified experience, with a larger screen where interactions feel more natural as you sit face-to-face across from life-size remote colleagues. A camera placed at eye level to improve eye contact, spatial audio so you hear people's voices from their position on the screen, and to enrich real-time collaboration, meeting chat notes, and actions will be at the forefront of all Teams rooms. Larger rooms with more attendees make it challenging for people working remotely to know who is present and who's talking. Teams rooms will deliver a meeting experience where everyone is fully represented and connections feel natural. We have reimagined the meeting room to bring people face-to-face with remote colleagues and unlock more space for people, content, and collaboration. Technology will fade to the background, with premium microphones hidden in the ceiling. Intelligent camera technology will bring in-room participants clearly into view through individual video streams. And spatial audio will help remote participants establish presence with a virtual seat in the room. All so that you have more authentic connections with everyone in the meeting. Our vision for meetings is about leveling the playing field for everyone, where remote and in-person attendees are represented equally and everyone can collaborate without compromise.
Awesome. Thank you very much. KP and our producer team, thank you for working with us today. I'm just going to throw up some content, so I'll let that come up and then I will kick off. Cool. I am hoping all of the people that have joined today are able to see us in the content today, as well as myself, hopefully beside the video. If not, feel free to ask questions and let us know in the Q&A panel on the right-hand side of your Teams chat. So today, the PB Tech team have invited me to come and talk a little bit about the Surface Hub range and more broadly around the Microsoft Teams platform and the way that we think about shared spaces. So I'm going to spend a bit of time talking about Hub. But before we do that, I do want to throw a quick nod to our amazing Ignite sessions, which are on right now at the moment. If you're not familiar with the Ignite forum, it is Microsoft's biannual conference to talk about our latest and greatest tech innovations. And I'm hoping some of you will see the media headlines and things coming out of Forbes, The Verge, etc., about some of the innovation we're bringing across the platforms over the next few days. Now, I couldn't start a Teams room or Teams meeting session without throwing a quick nod to the metaverse, which is something really, really new for us, and I'm something I'm really, really excited about and great to be talking about publicly and openly as part of Microsoft now. So you'll see a lot more from us over the next few days around the metaverse and how this is going to come to fruition. And you've probably heard a lot about the metaverse in general tech media over the last few weeks. What I will say is that we think about the metaverse as an opportunity to bring meeting equity to people. And I think of meeting equity as the ability to engage into a meeting, whether you are there in person in the room, if you're sitting in Beijing or Brunei, 1,000 miles away, or if you have a form of disability or inhibition that stops you from engaging in a traditional meeting format. We want everyone to feel equally engaged and equally involved into the meetings because we know that that helps with things like the technology burnout a lot of us are feeling during these lockdowns. Like many of you, I am day 70-something in the Auckland lockdown, and I have been on Teams calls, meetings every day for the last 77 days, I think it is. So we want to build a solution, an ecosystem that helps people feel more engaged, more collaborative, more involved, and ultimately have a better experience with the Microsoft Teams meeting platform. And Metaverse is our next generation step towards that vision. Go read about more of it. There'll be heaps of tech news coming out, super exciting. But without further ado, let's talk about some Surface Hub things. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Surface Hub is our first party Microsoft meeting room solution. You may have seen one before, you may have had a chance to play with one before. If you haven't, I would suggest that is the best thing you can do to understand what a Surface Hub is and how it works. Today, I'm going to spend a little bit of time on some of the innovations we're bringing to that platform, the technologies behind it, and then a few other cool Teams things before I throw back to the PB Tech team to take you through some actual real-life deployments of the Microsoft Teams Room Stack and Surface Hub. When we think about Surface Hub innovation, we think about it coming in three pillars. First, we think about how do we enable that fluid team collaboration. I truly believe in that vision where I say whether you're sitting in Beijing, Brunei, or Auckland in our Microsoft offices, we inside Microsoft all collaborate and work seamlessly by using our technology platforms. And Hub is such a key part of that. The idea that you can have a 50-inch or 85-inch digital touch-enabled whiteboard with built-in AV unified communication capability, as well as running, progressive web applications or Microsoft applications, really lights up a new way of doing meetings. And that's what we're most excited about with this product. It enables the meet and present style that we're all familiar with, a lot like with what we're doing here today, where you'll want to show content and have a video conference. But where Hub really shines is that ability to enable meet and collaborate scenarios, the idea of whiteboarding with your colleagues across time zones, across geographies. So we're going to talk about some cool things coming in the meet and collaborate space. Second, we know that any device you buy from Microsoft or our OEM partners today, you want to be able to manage in a consistent, secure, reliable way. And we're thinking about how can we enable these devices to have better commercial readiness, whether it's things like the ability to administer Surface Hubs from Intune or our cloud platform for managing devices, or the idea that you can apply additional security policies on top of these devices if you're running in a secure military base environment, as an example. And then finally, we're talking about modern experiences. So how do we make sure that when you're using a Surface Hub, you're getting the best of Microsoft holistically? How do we make sure we do things like align to our Windows 10 refresh cycle or Windows 11 refresh cycle where we are now? Let's kick off by talking a little bit more about Surface Hub before I jump into a video. Again, that fluid collaboration is such a core part of the product set. We've talked about the fact that it is Microsoft's first-party product for meeting room solutions, and I want to take a second here just to reinforce it is an all-in-one solution. You get the 50.5 or 85-inch touchscreen, which is 4.5K resolution, beautiful screen, evenly lit from behind, matte finish, so you don't get the reflections. You get the speakers, so you get a stereo speaker system as well as a subwoofer in the back of the device to bring really great audio experience as part of the meetings, and you get an array of 8 beamforming microphones built into the device. The key call out here is everything comes in one package, right? It's all Microsoft. We own it from chip to cloud. We own all of the products that are attached to it, and you have that consistent experience by having that single vendor approach. Next, we work with awesome accessory providers like Steelcase to build Roam Stand. You can see on the Surface Hub on the right-hand side, it's on a mobile cart, and we'll talk more about that capability. I'm sure the PB Tech team and Ingram team will cover that. We also work with partners like APC to build batteries so that you can think about having this device as a mobile device. You know, the idea that you can unplug this meeting room experience from a wall for up to 100 minutes and have it in a communal area, or even just to shift between meeting rooms as you're on a call. I've had quite a few experiences where my colleagues come along and they knock on the door and they say, hey, I've actually got this room booked. Can you move on? I'll wheel the hub away and take it with me, right? The idea that I have that mobility is empowering for not having to shut down the device, wait 5 minutes, repower it, and let everyone else on the remote side of the call have a bad experience. And then finally, I'm just going to reinforce this point. These devices are built for teamwork. They're built for being used in shared spaces. They're built for collaboration. And we know that as we come back from these lockdowns or COVID remote working scenarios, we're coming back to the office for collaboration with each other. We're not coming back to sit in PowerPoint presentations. We can all do that remotely. We're there to engage and work with our peers.
For a premium collaborative meeting experience, the new Teams Rooms on Surface Hub allows for boundaryless collaboration on a device purpose-built for teams to meet and co-create wherever they work. The next generation of Teams experiences on Surface Hub brings more of your favorite meetings features from desktop to the meeting room, like Together Mode scenes, which allow for richer experiences and deeper collaboration. On Surface Hub, you can also confidently present using features like PowerPoint Live in Teams, letting you see notes, slides, and your audience all in one view. Using the new Microsoft Whiteboard experience on Surface Hub, everyone can draw and ink on the same digital canvas, no matter where they are. And as features continue to be enhanced on Whiteboard, those updates will become available to Surface Hub.
Awesome. I absolutely love that little video. I think it highlights some of the great things that are coming to Surface Hub and have actually already started to roll out for those of you who may already have a Surface Hub. My favorite 2 things in there are definitely Teams PowerPoint Live. If you haven't had the opportunity to have a go with PowerPoint Live yet, get excited about that. It is an awesome experience for delivering content and making it easier for you as a presenter or producer to share content in a reliable, scalable way with your attendees. The second one, which I am super passionate about because it is, I think, the way that we think about new meetings within Microsoft is Whiteboard. Now, probably doesn't sound that exciting. Microsoft Whiteboard as an idea has been around for about 3 or 4 years now. It originally started as a hacked together OneNote application when a few of our engineers up in Redmond, Seattle, our headquarters, said, we have these amazing 50-inch touchscreens with the Surface Hub ones. Now we want to have them as a digital canvas, a whiteboard to share, create, collaborate ideas. That's slowly been adopted within the Microsoft 365 stack, and we're just about to, if not already for some platforms like the web beta, release a next generation version of Whiteboard that's going to enable even more seamless collaboration. I've been playing with this for the last few months internally at Microsoft, and some of the capability, like the new brainstorming templates, are really awesome. They just make the whiteboard experience much richer. You can also see some of the cool things that are coming around, presenter tracking or attendee tracking and whiteboards and seeing who is doing what. So again, it's bringing that digital canvas to you, to your fingers on the Surface Hub, and enabling you to collaborate more effectively across time zones. Next up, let's have a quick conversation around some of the commercial readiness things that we've done with Surface Hub. And there's a lot more coming on this. Tune into the Ignite sessions, which are due to roll over the next few days, and you'll get even better updates than I'm going to give you today. First of all, we've really focused on how do we help you deploy these devices more effectively. We want the ability to not only take them out of their really simple packaging and put them up on a really simple stand, but we want you to have the IT integration to make that a seamless deployment experience. You'll see a number of ways we've enabled that on the right-hand side, things like better active domain join capability, or even things like multi-factor authentication. Next, we've tried to make the meeting sessions and meeting engagement even more streamlined on Hub. If you're familiar with the one-touch join experience of Service Hub, it's getting even better and getting even more integrated with other platforms. And then finally, from a management and device running perspective, we've continued to update and improve the capability of managing these devices through platforms like Intune's. 20 plus new device management policies over just the last year, really helping you think about how do I deploy these at scale and manage them at scale remotely. Next up is one that I am really excited for. I think Fast Track is an awesome service that has been around with Microsoft for the past, I think, 5 or 6 years. Fast Track started out as our capability to help customers with pre-sales, deployment, and architecture of our Microsoft 365, or back in the day, Office 365 capability. What's really exciting this year is that Fast Track, for the first time, is being lit up for Surface. So if you're a customer thinking, hey, I want to trial Surface and I want to do it in the modern way, I want to use Autopilot and Intune and connect my devices to the cloud, we can help you with that at no cost for qualified customers. If you're thinking about, hey, I want to try deploying a Surface Hub, we can help you with that at no cost for qualified customers. So again, it's really cool. We're going to have these teams of amazing engineers. Our local team in New Zealand actually sits in Sydney. And we have a couple of really awesome Surface engineers that are Microsoft employees and work full-time, day in, day out, helping customers pilot and deploy and architect Surface devices inside their organizations. Reach out to PB Tech if you want to move into this motion. We're happy to help you with partners like PB adopt this as part of your pre-sales and architecture capability. Cool, that is the Surface Hub stuff. Now, I want to take just 2 minutes to very quickly go through a few cool things that I think are coming to the Teams platform. The first thing I wanted to touch on was these smart speakers. And I think this is an incredible way of showing how Microsoft is thinking about building that meeting equity, whether you're in the room or outside the room. These new Teams intelligence speakers are going to do things like automatically capture transcription of meetings, as well as assigning that to the person who is speaking in the room. You can imagine if you're a remote participant looking at a boardroom on the other side of the line, and there's 20 people in there, the capability of seeing who is speaking at any point in time, as well as having them transcribed, is really going to be empowering in helping you engage into that meeting. Next up, if you haven't seen them, I think the Microsoft Teams panels are an awesome little piece of technology that is coming along that's going to help you think about your return to work and using meeting spaces more effectively. We've all had that experience of walking up to a meeting room and saying, I hope this isn't booked, walking in, seeing on the screen it is, having to go find another space. It's a really frustrating thing. So what we're doing with these panels is we're giving you a way to both easily identify spaces that are booked or not booked with simple lighting systems. You can see on the Logitech, it's green, that's good to go. You can use that meeting room, or the Yay-Link, it's red, that one's already booked, as well as the ability to book those spaces directly on the little panel outside the room. So really cool little piece of technology, thinking about how can we use Teams as the mesh that ties together not only your AV UC hardware within the room, but also your booking systems, et cetera, throughout the office. And with that, that is my small brief update on the Teams platform and some of the hardware things that are coming. I'm going to hand back to the PB Tech team to take you forward with some of their built-in solutions.
Fantastic, thanks Ben. Really appreciate it, and certainly some cool technologies. So the next part of the session is really based on me, because we've got 5,000 customers at PB Tech, and when I first saw the Microsoft Hub pricing, I nearly fell off my chair. And so what I really want to do from this session is take you through what we've done for different customers in 3 different examples of rooms: a mobile trolley, a small meeting room, and a medium to large size meeting room, and just really get into the nuts and bolts of why you would spend or not spend the money on a hub versus another solution. So PB have been fitting out meeting rooms and video conference rooms for 10 years now, and technology comes along, and when as I said, when the hub came along, I initially thought that it was very expensive, but over the years, costs have changed and desires have changed and needs have changed within business, and so now we're going to work through a couple of examples of the different prices and the different ways that you can structure your meeting room and boardroom solution. So this is just the purpose of this part is just to help you to think about the different components of why you wouldn't get a hub versus another solution. So KP, can you just move our slide on to the first one of our examples there? So this is a mobile card. So on the left-hand side there, we've got a mobile collaboration quote that we've done for a previous customer versus the Microsoft Surface Hub 2S 50-inch. And we wanted to talk through the differences between the two. So the first line items on the mobile trolley is a TV. We've got a 55-inch TV with a Logitech tap and a meetup, and the conference room mount for the tap and the meetup, and a trolley and a stand, and some project management fees for us to bolt it all together. That includes little things like the power bank in the back and a few other bits and pieces. So Tyler, do you want to just jump in here and have a chat through some of the differences between the two solutions?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Rodney. You're definitely talking to some pretty key points there, right? So when we're looking at the solution on the left with all the Samsung and the Logitech bits and pieces, it's definitely a good solution, and it gives you good audio quality, good interaction, ease of use, but there's definitely a lot of bits and pieces to put together, hence the project management and coming along and making sure it's nice and easy for our customers by just getting all the hard bits done, right? Installing it, configuring it, making sure it's all good to go, tidying up all the messy cables in the back and making sure it looks nice and aesthetic. I definitely give kudos to the Surface Hub or to Microsoft for making such an aesthetic Surface Hub, right? You just plug in one power cable and away you go. So, yeah.
Thanks, Tyler. The other thing that I just wanted to throw about this solution is it's actually more common for our customers to not buy the Logitech tap, but to more buy a NUC and put that behind their screen. Buy a Bluetooth, a wireless keyboard and mouse, have a screen on a trolley with a PC behind it and a keyboard and mouse. That of course will bring the price down by probably $3,000. So brings it down into the sort of $7,000, $8,000 price bracket. But the experience is completely different. You need to log on as yourself. You need to have it connected to your Wi-Fi and your network. Your staff need to realize that they're just basically using a computer that's got a big screen attached to it on a trolley. And that's a very different experience than the Surface Hub. So the Surface Hub is designed and used as a video conference solution and a whiteboard and a PC. If you go for a trolley, you're talking about having a PC with a screen. You can upgrade it, as we've seen here, to being a video conference solution as well, but still the whiteboard functionality is not there, and some of the cool things that we've seen from the show before, video before, are not going to be there. And so when I look at the bottom line there, yes, the Surface Hub, $16,000 and some change. That's still quite expensive, but it's a different concept and it's a different thing. It's more easily managed, it's more easily trained, and the uptake of your staff using it will probably be better if your staff are not used to, mucking around with PCs and so forth. Of course, the real cheap way of doing it is to get a screen for your $1,000 odd there, your $500 for a stand, and have a HDMI cable, coming out of it, or using your Connect Wi-Fi on your laptops to beam your screen up to your PC. So that's an option to consider as well. Next slide, please, KP. So now we move into a smaller meeting room. Now the smaller meeting rooms start to look a little bit different. You've got here the prices are roughly the same. So you've got the Surface Hub 2 on the right-hand side there for the $13,500, and then a wall mount for it for $479. The reason that the wall mount is, $500 instead of $100 for another one that you'd get from PB is simply because Microsoft have partnered with that, and if it falls off the steel Rome wall mount and smashes your $13,000 TV, then it's covered by the warranty. Whereas if you stick it on one of our other ones, good luck to you. So that's just an explanation over the cost of that mount. Back to the left-hand side now, we've got the 4K 55-inch TV. We've got all of the other bits and pieces that were on the mobile trolley before. So this is more common. You'd have the the Logitech Tap put up against the wall, or in the middle of the little table there. You'd have the Meet Up to give video, and you'd have the wall mount for $50. There you go. It's $50 instead of $500. And then you've got the project management fee and installation accordingly. So that's $5,500. Tyler, can you jump back in now and talk us through what that looks like and why you'd spend $5,000 sticking a TV on a wall?
Yeah, no problem. So on the left with the Samsung commercial TV and the Logitech bits and pieces, like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of different hardware components that go into bringing a meeting room together, right? So you've got the audio, you've got the TV, and you've got all the cables that connect everything into each other, and you've also got most of the time a little, touchscreen tablet on the conference table to make it, nice and easy for users to interact with. Obviously, the project management fee ties into that because we have to route the cables all through these channels, along the carpet tiles, or conduit them through the wall and bits and pieces like that. It does tie together a really nice, good quality conference room, obviously with the right installation and the right configuration and making sure that the quality is there. Although it does definitely fix things down. Obviously, you don't have the option of being able to easily move the meeting room around and bits and pieces like that. Specifically on that solution that we're looking at there with the Logitech Meetup and the Samsung commercial TV, is a Teams purpose-built room. So your users are walking in, they've got the meeting there and they can join, but it doesn't quite empower the users the same way that the Surface Hub does. I really liked the point that you touched on before, Rodney, when you said a lot of conference rooms that we come across are NUCs in a room, a webcam and a TV, right? It empowers the users to have the ability to access, Word and PowerPoint and accessing their files on the network and stuff like that. But I can't tell you how many times it's all too often that we walk into a room and the person before has gone through and changed all the settings and done this and that and bits and pieces. So I guess that's one of the really key benefits that I like with Surface, is that you don't have to go through and route all the cables into the room, and it's still empowering all those users to have all those tools and bits and pieces, even more so than the conference room example that we've got on the screen there, because the users can still walk in and have ease of use with being able to join meetings or start an ad hoc meeting, but they have all the Microsoft apps like Word and PowerPoint and Calendar and things like that. So the user experience is a little bit different in comparison to the examples that we've got on the screen there. Hope that answers your question, Rodney.
Fantastic, thanks, Tyler. I've just got to throw out a bit of an honesty hand here. We've got in our head office in Manukau in Auckland, we've got a meeting room with this exact setup. And often I personally wheel in an old-fashioned white whiteboard with a felt tip and draw on it, because it doesn't deliver the whiteboard functionality, which is very, very old-fashioned, and I am old, so that's probably explainable. But when you have a solution like we've designed here for the Teams room structure, the only way that you really get a usable whiteboard is if you plug your laptop into the back of the Logitech tap and use your laptop as your whiteboard. So it's a different concept, and it's a different functionality that you can expect out of a Surface Hub too. So let's just move on quite quickly now, KP, to the larger meeting room. So you can see here that the pricing, again, it's a little bit more expensive for the 85-inch Surface Hub versus the dual screen commercial 65 inches in your meeting room there on the left-hand side. So the differences between the two there is similar to what we talked about. You've got a dual screen connected to a Logitech tap with a Rally Plus conference facility. The Rally Plus is the one with 2 speakers, the quality camera, the sound processing unit with 2 microphones mounted in the middle of your boardroom table. The Logitech tap also mounted in the middle of your boardroom table with the ability to plug your laptops into the back of the tap. When you're having a video conference, one of those screens is your video conference screen, and then when you've plugged in content from your laptop into the tap, the other screen comes alive and shows you the content on the other screen. So that's the way that the Logitech Teams room is set up and structured. It works very well, and it's easy. People have got the ability to HDMI into the back of the tap, and it all just comes into life. The sound processing unit on them is really good, and you've got lovely mounted speakers all the way down your boardroom that you can press for mute and unmute and so forth. So it's a great solution, and that's about $23,000, give or take, to mount that. Conversely, you've got the hub that we talked about for $34,000 for the large one. Now, the difference between those two, of course, is that the whiteboard functionality is just not quite the same. It's not quite as slick. The upgrades, the firmware upgrades, all of the maintenance and support on the Teams room is not quite as slick. Of course, Microsoft Surface Hub's managed by Intune, so Intune manages all your devices on your network anyway, and the Surface Hub is just another one of those. But the big thing, I think, is if you're mounting, if you're drilling holes into your wonderful Cowrie boardroom to mount your speakers, then if you're not going to be moving that boardroom anytime soon, because the cables are going to be through the floor, up the wall into the 2 TVs. If, for example, you had a boardroom that you want to install a partition in and divide it into 2, you're sort of a little bit stuck because you can't change your boardroom structure because it's linked to your technology. As the technology changes, if in 5 years' time that you wanted to do something different with your boardroom table, you'd have to have 3 holes filled with fake wood, which wouldn't do the Cowrie much good at all. So there's a few structural differences between the two things in terms of the furniture and the allocation of the room and the room use. And in my view, that's the main reason that you would move towards a Surface Hub. Included, of course, is all of the flash things that we saw at the beginning. But potentially it's worth spending the money just to enable you to have a greater room use. At PB, one of our meeting rooms, we turn it into a classroom format from time to time, a big boardroom format. And once you've installed a Teams room with things mounted in tables and cables mounted through floors and tiles over the top and so forth, it really does limit your use of that room. So Tyler, do you want to have any further things to add about the solution here?
Yeah, sure. That example that we have on the side with the dual screens is a really popular one that we deploy. One of the most requested features our customers have is that ability to have 2 screens, right? So having presenters on one and you can still see and interact with people, and then being able to see the content on the other. Because a lot of the time when people try and do both on one screen, you don't quite get the same experience, or the text is no longer legible on those PowerPoint presentations and bits and pieces. So that's why it's quite a common request. The engineers that we use to deploy and manage most of our projects, they really love the Logitech Rally Kit. Logitech did a pretty good job at bringing everything together, making it really simple to connect and to manage and bits and pieces. And our customers really like the audio quality. But you're right. At the same time, we do have to go through and install a static conference room. So it really depends on what our customers are after, whether they want one with the flexibility to adapt further down the line, like the one that we have in our head office, or where a customer doesn't mind us, popping a couple of holes in the boardroom table to hide all the cables and put the little touchscreen tablet into the table, because sometimes they don't mind those trade-offs for a really good experience. But yeah, I would say those are probably the only points that we really wanted to touch on.
Excellent. Thanks, Tyler. So from here, I just wanted to engage with James. James has had a lot of experience, working with not only PB Tech and our customers, but also PB Tech's competitors throughout the market. And so he's got a broader view of the market in New Zealand around Surface Hub and other video concepts. So James, do you want to just talk to us about the training differences that you've seen between the two kinds of concepts in terms of meeting rooms, the training requirement and the training costs that customers go through firstly, and then secondly, the staff uptake of the different kinds of solutions, and whether there's any positives or negatives on either side of the equation?
Thank you, Rodney, and thank you everyone for turning up. It's an amazing turnout. I think from what I've perceived really most, and if I lead with Surface Hub and any room setup, as we can all see, there's decent amount of investment going into everything, whether it's multiple vendor parts or whether it's a single part with Microsoft. But it's about collaboration and embracing that meeting room, because everyone's expecting a different experience these days. So as Ingram and working with the likes of PB Tech, we built some key services to enhance what people are investing in, because there's nothing worse, buying. Some people, could buy a Surface Hub and just leave it there and not understand how to use that device and just see it as a very glorified technical whiteboard. Where we try and make a difference on any meeting room we deliver with our partners is the ability to support and give the end user, the customer, on behalf of PB Tech, the best setup, support and training we possibly can at the beginning. Followed by that, it is about an unlimited adoption training process. So we want every member of staff to not be shy to use these devices and be able to understand how to walk in and conduct a meeting, whether planned or on the fly, and to be able to pull in all the data, pull in all the information and the files that they need for any given time. So that's key for us, and having these services available has really enhanced how we've moved forward in the market. Staff take up the differences. So, if you imagine you're starting from the CEO who expects the best VC experience, hit the button, get running, everyone's in motion, and it's a productive meeting. Not every meeting room setup allows for that, and a multitude of things can go wrong. Surface Hub removes a lot of that risk. The biggest pain point in any meeting is time wasting and how long it takes for everyone to cluster together, get everyone alive. Okay, timing of people arriving is one thing, but actually getting the meeting running is another aspect. Security, even like you have done in the past, Rodney, pulled in your whiteboard and you've started annotating and doing everything around. When you leave that meeting room and you've left the whiteboard behind, is the content cleaned down automatically, or do you have to go over and wipe it yourself? When you finish a meeting at a Microsoft Surface Hub, you end the session. The device completely resets itself and cleans itself, so nothing is left up there that is of sensitive nature. You don't want to see what people's pay rises are going to be next year, or you're going to find out there's going to be a restructure. So that's another key component for me. If something goes wrong in a multi-vendor scenario, there are risks. I'm not going to lie. you have a multitude of probably up to 5 or 6 vendors creating a solution which work absolutely perfectly. But if and when something goes wrong, it's a little bit of a lottery to actually work out where the problem is. Where Surface Hub leads the market and possibly sits out as a premium product, it's one throat to choke. There is only one place to go, and there's only one issue to resolve. And with Intune and Autopilot and everything in the background, it's got a lot of support in the back to actually bring it back up to speed very quickly. I think also what I've noticed is it's covering all levels of staff. Is it the project team? Is it the sales team, the marketing team, whoever? It's about having a unique experience in the meeting room and having the apps and the actual software to be able to deliver it whilst pulling in all your files which are available in your Active Directory. All right, so it's about having speed of pulling data, and if someone asks a question you can't answer, you can do that during the course of the meeting. Everyone's in this true hybrid workplace now, and it's here to stay. All right, so a lot of us have a percentage of staff away from office and some in staff, you know, in the office. And the experience people are expecting that when they get back to the office is very personalized. They want to be able to feel front of focus. And there are a few products out there like the Surface Hub that actually engage everyone in that meeting to deliver that experience. And it's a simple one-touch join. It's the wireless connectability, sharing and calling on data, documents, pull, the push of documents and information, so you can send something out to everyone after a meeting with one button. It's pretty simple.
Excellent, thanks, James. Right, from here we are going through time, so I'd really love to get some Q&A underway. I know that a few of you have got questions, so KP, do you want to jump in now with a couple of questions and we can pass that off onto the appropriate person to answer?
Yep. So the first question, or some of the themes, we've looked at a couple of themes that have emerged throughout the questions. And one of them was asking about whether there would be additional software licenses and other associated costs to enable the whole system to work. Should we, James or Ben?
I'm happy to answer that one if you'd like, KP.
Thank you.
Awesome. So Microsoft Teams Rooms and Surface Hubs have a licensing construct called the Microsoft Teams Room license. And I would suggest that that is the best fit license for you to think about applying to any Teams room that you're looking at. Yes, it is an additional license and you do pay a monthly cost for that. What I will say is that you're much better off using one of the Teams Rooms licenses than a equivalent E3 or E5 or Business Premium SKU, as they come in significantly cheaper and give you all of the functionality you would expect from that device, whether it's a Surface Hub or a Teams Room device. They enable things like the meeting room capability, the whiteboarding capability, the PowerPoint capability on Surface Hub, as well as if you go for some of the more premium options, things like PSTN dial-in or dial-out of Surface devices as well.
Thanks, Ben. Another question that we've gotten is, how can we make sure that we cover how the systems work with multiple AD and O365 tenants? Because some of the people in the chat have got shared office with 2 separate companies.
It's a really good question. What I will say up front is that most of these devices, in fact, these devices are built around being tied to a single AD. Today, I don't believe the functionality exists to very quickly swap between 2 tenants, as an example. What you can do, as an example, and I have this exact setup with inside Microsoft, is you could tie your Teams room, as an example, to a tenant, a single Microsoft tenant, in my case, modernwork.co.nz, and you could enable external invitations so that anyone could book that room, right? So, and my office is in Auckland, I book that room as benbrown@microsoft.com. I just send an invite to the Surface Hub 2S at modernwork.co.nz, and all of a sudden that meeting room is booked for me. I can walk in there, tap to join, and still having meeting room experience on it. So that is the way I would encourage you to think about it, is how can you enable external invitations. I will just quickly call out that will cause some customers concern around security posture. just because you will be enabling external invitations. So anyone could, in theory, book your devices, but that is a current workaround.
Excellent. Thanks, Ben. So we also had a lot of questions come in around a lot of more technical questions about the setup of the Teams meeting room setups and surfaces. So what we're going to do is we'll probably get back to you in person because we are cognizant of time running by and we want to make sure that we get to the best part of the webinar, which is obviously the giveaway. But before that, we've got a special demo offer that we are partnering with Ingram Micro and Microsoft Surface to present. So I will let James tell us about it.
Yeah, thank you, KP. So we're pleased to announce that with PB and Microsoft's partnership, for all qualified organizations. So we ask you to reach out to your contact, your account manager at PB Tech to express an interest to trial a Surface Hub. And once qualified, we'll apply for some funding with Microsoft, who will then come back and approve, and we will then give you the opportunity to trial the 50-inch Surface Hub as you saw it in the pictures on the trolley. We won't be delivering the battery because we don't like moving the lithium battery too much. But obviously you'll get the trolley experience and we'll give you the full adoption training, the setup training that we would be as a normal service, and we'll follow up on a weekly basis to see what your experience is like. And then we'll arrange for a collection of the unit and pull it back to our DC. But we ask you to register that interest with PB Tech, and it's open to all of you who've taken part today.
Excellent. Thanks, James. So last thing is for us to have a giveaway, and we're only 3 minutes overdue. So prize draw. I'd firstly like to congratulate Jeff from BDO. Jeff, we're going to get out to you a headset, which is the Jabra Evolve 2 and the 85 model. And I'd also like to congratulate Charlene from the property group. We're going to give you, I'm somehow in lockdown going to give you my Poly, where is it? I can't even see it. There we go. My Poly Think 20. Which is one of the speakers that were similar to the ones that we saw in the video there. So we really appreciate your attendance today. Hope that you learned something, and by all means, please email Rodney at pbtech.co.nz with those questions that you had in terms of technical, and we will get our services team to answer the questions. KP, is there anything else to cover off before we sign off?
I believe that was it.
Excellent. Fantastic, guys. Thanks for attending, and we'll be in touch next time.